All right. Hello, OA. Welcome back to Tokihogushi. Last time we got introduced again to the police people at the police station, and there is a huge, complicated plot going on that somehow involves Hideo Kojima and Okabe Rintaro vying for control of the police station, and something tells me, I don't know, it's just a feeling, maybe because it's the fact that neither of them have any sprites, it's not going to play too big a role in the story. But more importantly, we have Tomoe as the main character again with Madoka. And it looks like this arc is going to be all about the school incident of Rena's old school, in which she broke all the windows and beat those three guys with a bat. So I can't wait to see more of that. That is something that the main story never really touched upon, and something relating more to the main arcs is, I think, a fantastic idea. All right, so without further ado, let's get back into it. Find that save file. Oh, yep. And this girl, she was visiting one of the people that was attacked by Rena. Hello, T. Welcome to the stream. Eventually, the two of them reached a hospital room at the end of the hallway. The tag next to the door had the name Kohei Sawamura written in felt-tip pen. Hiranuma lightly knocked on the door. Sawamura-san? Oh, yeah, I thought so. Your girlfriend is here to see you. Huh? Am I wrong? Oh, Nagisa. No, oh yeah, that's right. I should have a new voice for her, because if this arc is going to involve Rena, I can't very well give Nagisa the Rena voice. Fuck. Let's see. Her face was bright red, so she hid it behind the bouquet. Hiranuma gently gazed at her innocent reaction, but once it started feeling uncomfortable, she turned towards the door. Huh? He normally responded immediately, but there was no reply. He must be sleeping again. We're coming in. Huh? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Without hearing a word in response, Hiranuma put a hand on the doorknob, but her unease suddenly transformed into suspicion because the door was locked. That's odd. I wonder why. Hiranuma-san? One moment, please. She pulled a keychain out of her pocket, then inserted one of the keys into the keyhole. All the rooms in the hospital were equipped with locks due to certain circumstances. The patient can lock them from the inside, but the on-call nurse is still able to unlock them using the master key. However, the patient never locked this door, even once, since he was transferred to this room last week, so... maybe I should come again later? It's alright, I'll figure it out. What the fuck was that sound effect? So, Mura-san, I'm coming in with a gun. Please excuse me. Hello, Void Dweller, welcome to the stream. After saying that, Hiranuma opened the door to the hospital room and stepped inside. Uh-oh. Huh? Kohei-kun? However, there was nobody inside the hospital room. Uh-oh. Oh, God, don't tell me he jumped out the window. The comforter was overturned in a way that made it look like someone was in there recently. The inside of the room was very quiet. The only sound was the clamor of a caged canary, which was placed inside the room to comfort the patient.
どこに行ったのかしら。
I wonder where he went.
部屋を出たのなら鍵がかかっているはずがないのに。
He shouldn't have been able to lock the door if he left the room.
あれ、窓が開けっぱなし。
Uh-oh, I hope they're on the ground floor. Huh? Someone left the window open.
あ、私閉めてきます。
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God, y'all see what's coming. Y'all see what's coming. Oh, I'll close it. Just then, an evening breeze blew in, causing the skin-toned curtains to flutter. The girl placed the bouquet on the table, then quietly approached the window. She began to put her hand on the handle of the window, then leaned out. There's gonna be a scream, I bet. Yep. Oh, God. Huh? What's wrong? Ozaki-san! Oh, God. The girl remained fixed and placed, gazing down from the window, trembling with a pale look on her face. Then, Hiranuma ran to her and looked in the same direction. Oh, God, he Sawamura-kun? Oh, God. Oh, my God. The boy dressed in pajamas was lying on the ground down below, with his arms and legs spread wide. Oh, God. He's dead. And the ground around the body was a distinctly different hue from the setting sun. The gray concrete was dyed in dark black. Koei-kun! Koei-kun! Oh my God. Ozaki-san, be careful! You could fall too. Koei-kun! Koei-kun! Oh my God. Hiranuma grabbed the screaming girl, then turned and retreated to the wall across from the window. Then she snatched the nearby nurse intercom receiver and began shouting into it without waiting for a response. Hello, nurse center! The patient in room 842 has fallen from the window. Call the police immediately! And then call Dr. Toda right away! Looking down... Oh, God, he's dead. He's dead. Oh, my God. Looking down from the 8th floor window, it was a miserable sight to behold. That distance was the boundary between the living and the dead.
Huh? 取材ですか?
Oh, God. Damn, I think that would have been a better place to break last time. Huh? An interview? That's right. Tomoe received a call from Chief Yamaoki to report in immediately after lunch. And that was the first thing he said after she unwillingly entered his office. It's a formal request from the Public Relations Office of the National Police Agency. They're collecting programming from key stations, so your cooperation is necessary. Well, I'm sure you can imagine how important this is. More or less. Tomoe dishearteningly shrugged her shoulders as she muttered that to herself. Ever since making a name for herself as a detective, she was starting to get sick of the requests for interviews that came with the new title and workplace. Especially recently, since she had received multiple requests for TV appearances. It was understandable. Frequent appearances from female police officers would bring in better ratings than some rough athletic police officer. Her issue wasn't so much with the composition, but rather the theme.
女性の権利拡大って柄じゃないんだけど。
It's primarily about the expansion of women's rights. She looked through the proposal from the TV station inside. The content of the program detailed the success story of a female police officer who was selected as a part of the National Police Agency's recommended group from her post at Higurashi Prefectural Police Department. Apparently. In short, they wanted to publicize a story about equal employment opportunities among men and women, as was prevalent in recent years. Honestly, it wasn't very interesting.
実際、男女間に差異があって不思議じゃないわけだし。
Really, there's nothing mysterious about the different ways men and women are treated. As much as Tomoe heard people say even women are capable and don't discriminate, it seemed like just putting on a bold front. She was only receiving this level of recognition because she was a woman. Besides, Tomoe toiled endlessly on her criminal investigation activities day and night, seeking opportunities to solve the mysteries her father left behind. Hello, Jackie. Welcome to the stream. So, to instead twist her story into something about expanded women's rights to appeal to the enthusiasm of working women, she couldn't think of anything more disrespectful. That's why Tomoe came to the same decision every time.
で、出演の件だが
So, in order to keep up appearances,
お断りします。
I refused. A curt
広
reply.
報室からの依頼は初めてですが、理由は同じです。
This is the first time the request has come from the Public Relations Office, but there is a reason it's still the
テレ
same.
ビ出演しても、私には語るべきものが何もありませんので。
Even if I appear on TV, I have nothing to say.
まあそんなに堅苦しく考えるほどのことではないと思うがね
Well, I don't think you've given it proper consideration.
それに、私は捜査に関わる立場にありますので、顔が知られると、それだけ活動がやりにくくなります。
Besides, I'm actively handling investigations at the moment. Having people recognize my face would only make those activities more difficult.
ですから、せっかくのお話ですが、辞退させていただきます。
That's why I can't accept this.
もう相変わらず硬いな。
You're always so stubborn.
一回テレビに出たくらいですぐに覚えられたりしないっての。
Nobody is gonna remember you after a single TV appearance. Get over yourself.
身長を期すのは刑事として当然のことよ。
It's only natural for a detective to be cautious.
まどか。なんであんたがここに？
And I wonder, Tomoe, you can put two and two together why she's there. And Madoka, why are you even here? Although she noticed the incongruity a little while ago, Tomoe finally turned and asked about it. Madoka and Fujita were standing by the wall when Tomoe first entered the chief's office.
所長に何か用なの？
Do you have some business with the chief?
関係ないんだったら公務中だし、席を外してもらいたいんだけど。
You're on active duty. If this doesn't concern you, go back to your desk.
いや、だって呼ばれたから。ね
Well, excuse me. Actually, we were called here.
え、藤田さん。
Right, Fujita-san?
あ、自分もなんで呼ばれたのかわからないんですが。
God, I love Fujita. Seriously. So happy to see more of him.
Oh, yeah, although I don't actually know why.
I love Fujita so much. I'd love to see more of him. Fujita looked apologetic as he said that, scratching his head. Apparently, he knelt down and begged for forgiveness in front of his wife's parents. After the misunderstanding with the case the other day. I was allegedly forgiven. Thanks to that, Tomoe was able to go into work this morning full of joy, fondly telling the story. The people involved took it very seriously, but looking at it in hindsight, it was just a minor nuisance. But she did keep hearing him say,
Oh, go to hell.
as she shoveled down her lunch hamburgers.
いいなあ東京出張
Oh, nice. A business trip to Tokyo.
お土産よろしくねお姉ちゃん
Bring me back a souvenir, sis.
だから行かないんだってば。
I said I'm not going.
とにかく断ってください。
Anyway, please accept my refusal.
ただでさえ今は結構案件が多くて、それどころではありませんので。
Even now, I have too many projects to handle, and not enough time to finish them. Dedicating time to a TV appearance would mean suspending work on all the investigations currently being carried out, and the only way to make it up would be to work unpaid overtime. Unlike Madoka, who had the freedom to frolic about, Tomoe was very busy with investigation activities every single day, so she couldn't find enjoyment in setting them aside.
それは困った。
Yes, that's a problem.
は？どうしてです？
Huh? Why? I bet they already said she would say yes.
あ、いや、もう OK してしまったからな。
Yeah, I thought so.
No, it's already being taken care of.
Oh my god, the music cuts out. Oh, she fainted.
はい？
Huh? Tomoe cast aside her cool demeanor and shouted out loud.
ほら、これ出張許可証。
Now this is the kind of shit I wanted to see from Kageboshi. This is what I wanted. Oh my god, it looks like Tokihogushi is gonna, or whatever, is, there's two that sound way too similar, two console arcs sound way too similar, is gonna fulfill my unfulfilled wishes from Kageboshi.
Here, this is a business trip permit.
あいにくグリーン車ではないが旅費は広報室持ちとのことだから新幹線の指定席で。
Unfortunately, travel expenses are determined by the Public Relations Office, so you won't be in a first-class cabin. But it does give you a reserved seat on the bullet train.
いや、ちょっと待ってください。
Hold on, please!
なんで受けるんです？なんで私に無断で？
Oh, why do you accept that? And why are you giving it to me without my permission? I think when Tomoe gets excited, her voice changes a bit. So I'm gonna change her up when she's excited, because it's funny.
聞けば断ると思った。
I knew it.
That's because if I had asked, you would have refused.
そういう問題じゃないでしょ？
That's not the problem.
私の意思は？
What about my wishes
権利は？
or my rights?
っていうか、何の権限であなたがオーケーなんて。
Oh my god! What gave you the authority to say
Okay.
to this?
いや、実はここだけの話。
Well, the truth of the matter is...
私は正直君の上司だから。
God, this arc is already so much better than Kageboshi.
I'm the chief. That means I'm your boss.
僕言わなくても知ってるわ。
You don't have to say it like it's some kind of secret!
大体上司のあなたにあるのは承認権で決定権じゃないでしょ？
Even if you are my boss, you shouldn't have the authority to make this kind of decision!
そうなのか。
Oh, really?
確認するな。
Don't agree to this!
冗談じゃない。絶対嫌です、こんな依頼は。
I'm serious! I absolutely despise these sort of requests!
そもそもテレビ番組に現役の刑事が出演なんて一体何を考えているんですか？
What on earth are they thinking? Putting an active duty detective on TV!
今後は人 続捜査もできなくなりますよ。
Would that make it possible to conduct confidential investigations in the future? A loud bang roared out as Tomoe intensely slammed her hands down on the luxury desk, screaming and shouting. Any ordinary detective, no, even a hardened criminal, would tremble before this display. Fujita muttered something to that effect himself. However, no matter how much she had to say, Yamaoka ignored her booming voice and simply continued polishing the golf club he had just picked up.
聞いてるんですか、所長。
Are you even listening, Chief?
おお、ちゃんと聞いてるぞ。
Yes, I'm listening carefully.
いやいや、最近年のせいか耳が遠くなったみたいでな。
Unfortunately, my hearing has gotten weaker in my old age.
今くらいの大声ならちょうどいいくらいだ。
It would help if you could talk a little louder.
で、何の話だ？
So, what were you saying?
真面目に聞け。
Seriously, listen to me!
お姉ちゃん
Sis?
冷静に冷静に
Calm down. Calm down, okay? Deep breaths. Deep breaths, honey, remember. Madoka frantically tried Oh, wow. That is a huge typo. Tried to move in front of Tomoe and desperately tried to stop her momentum. If she couldn't stop it here, it wouldn't be much longer until the verbal assault turned physical. No, it's an interview. Void Dweller.
もうカオルさんじゃなかった所長
That's enough, Calbrisa. Chief.
もあんまり見ない警部をからかわないでください
Please stop teasing Chief Inspector Minai so much.
いや、すまんな、ミナイ君。
Oh, my apologies, Minai-kun.
ちょっとした場を温めるジョークだったんだが。
The jokes are making this place get a little heated.
むしろ怒りだよ、次は。
More like burning with rage!
みなえさん、ブレイクブレイク。
Minai-san, break! Take it easy!
エキサイトしないでください。
Please, don't get so worked up!
Oh, she's shouting because she doesn't want to do an interview, Void Dweller. Perhaps concerned about touching a woman's body, Fujita kept a short distance away while trying to comfort her. With the two of them attempting to stop her, she started to regain her composure. She adjusted her collar and took a deep breath.
とにかく私はお断りします。
In any case, I refuse.
なんでしたら私が直接テレビ局にご連絡しても構いませんので。
If you'd like, I can tell the TV station directly.
まあ、聞きたまえ、ミナイ君。
Listen to me, Minai-kun.
そもそも警察官は国民の税金で生活している公僕の官だ。
Police officers are civil servants first and foremost, funded by the people's tax dollars.
まあ、そうなると当然その勤務内容がそれに見合った基準に達しているか、常に国民に開示しておく必要がある。
As a matter of course, we need open discourse with the public, so they can determine if our work has met their standards.
また大規模捜査においてマスコミの協力はなくてはならないもの。
Additionally, cooperation with the mass media is indispensable on our large-scale investigations.
そのためには日頃から懇意にしておかなければいかんと思うのだが。
With that in mind, we need to maintain friendly relations with them going forward.
違うか？
Am I wrong?
それは。
Well, those were good reasons, but even hearing it straight from the chief's mouth wasn't enough to convince her.
でもそれは広報課の仕事でしょ。
But isn't that the responsibility of the Public Relations Office?
現役の刑事の顔を公衆の面前にさらしていいことがあるとも思えません。
I still think no good will come from exposing the face of an active duty detective to the public.
なに、 一度の出演で顔を覚えられたりはしない。
What? Nobody will remember a face after a single appearance. As my said, Madoka said, get over yourself.
大衆に記憶力がそれほどあるのなら、指名手配犯などあっという間に捕まっているはずだからな。
If the public was that good at remembering faces, we'd have a far easier time catching wanted criminals.
ビデオに撮られたらどうするんですか？
What if they videotape it?
それに番組の再放送だってあるでしょ？
Besides, couldn't they rebroadcast it later on?
そもそもテレビ局に個人情報とかノウハウを晒すことにはリスクも問題もあって。
There are risks and problems that come from exposing personal information to TV stations. Huh?
Just then, looking at the golf club Yamaoka was polishing a moment ago, stirred up a memory in Tomoe. It was brand new, and the design resembled the imported titanium driver she recently saw in a TV commercial. However, the Japanese release certainly shouldn't have been for a while longer. But he was able to obtain one despite that?
所長、
Chief?
まさか。
No way.
いや君の出演 OK したらほんのお礼だってテレビ局の人がな。
Oh my god. God damn it, Yamaoka!
Oh, this was a gift from the TV station after accepting all participation.
いいだろこれ。
You got a problem with this?
Flash.
ぶっ殺せ。
Oh! I'll kill you!
あんた私をドライバー一本で撃ったのか？
You sold me out for a single golf club!
皆さん、ストップ！
Mirai-san, stop it! Says stop!
Madoka and Fujita just barely managed to restrain Tomoe, who was screaming threats while starting to climb over the desk, ready to bludgeon him.
Why couldn't we get more of this? Oh my god, we need more of these. Oh my god. Ah! All three of them are chibi except for him. Oh! What's that?
君も欲しかったのかねこのドライバー。
Did you want the golf club?
ええ。
Yeah!
いただけますか？今すぐに。
So give it to me now!
それであんたのドタマ買っちまって裏庭の池にホールインしてや
I'll smack your head hard enough to launch into the pond and back!
未来さん
Mirai-san!
行きません、人情沙汰は。
Don't resort to bloodshed!
それに署内でこれ以上騒動を起こしたら本気で懲戒者ですよ。
Besides, if you take this any further, you're liable to face disciplinary action!
私が懲戒ならこいつはなんだ？
If I'm gonna be disciplined, what about him?
贈収賄の現行犯でしょうが。
This is a flagrant case of bribery!
Indeed, there was no denying that.
私が責任取るからこんな極悪人逮捕しろ。
Fujita-kun, I'll take responsibility! So arrest this villain!
そしたら私が今すぐ地検に起訴して刑務所にぶち込んでやる。
Then I'll prosecute him at the local court and have him sent behind bars right away!
待ってよお姉ちゃんってば。
Wait a minute, sis!
Fatality. At this point, Fujita's aversion to touching a woman's body was no longer a factor. If anything were to happen to the chief here, the staff at Personnel Affairs would never keep this quiet. Neither of them wanted to damage her career with something so stupid.
話して藤田君。
Let me go, Fujita-kun!
あなたにも刑事魂はあるでしょ。
Don't you have the heart of a detective within you?
少しでも正義感がある
ちょっとひどいとは思いますが。
Well, I do think it's a little unreasonable.
After all, no matter how you twisted the interpretation, it was clearly a bribe. Deputy Chief Hada was eagerly searching for reasons to throw the chief and Tomoe out. So it'd be outrageous if this story got out.
藤田巡査部長、君は南井君の味方か。
Sergeant Fujita, are you taking Mina-kun's side on this?
は
Huh?
味方も何も一般的な常識論から考えて自分は。
I'm not taking any sides. I'm just thinking about it for myself using common sense.
ならば君から南井君を説得してもいい。
Then why don't you try to persuade Minai-kun
一般的な常識論でな。
using your common sense?
え
Huh?
With attention suddenly directed at him, Fujita turned to Yamaoki with a confused look on his face, while still restraining Tomoe. Is this like the same writer as Kageboshi? Like everyone just... This feels so much more like Sumeatsushi. Like the level of the writing just feels so much better than Kageboshi's overall. It felt like Kageboshi was just spinning its wheels the entire time, and we already have like a bunch of fantastic scenes already in this. The plot's moving along quite nicely, and like getting a ton of characterization for everybody. Aside from that, like random ass Game of Thrones plot in the first part, like this is going incredibly well. Like it's on track to be one of my favorites already, I have to say. Fujita turned to Yamaoki with a confused look on his face while still restraining Tomoe. Persuade her, even though it was an attempt to keep her under control. He couldn't help but think,
Why me?
and no matter how he looked at it, no matter how much he thought about it, what Tomoe said was definitely true.
いや常識って話で言えば
Well, thinking about it with common sense.
やっぱそういう利益供与の図り方は良くないかと思いますが。
I have to wonder if it's proper to take advantage of such benefits.
ならば質問を変えよ
In that case, let's change the question.
う。私に逆らえば私が人事に働きかけて間違いなく来期の昇給は遅れる。
If you disobey me, I'll turn to personnel affairs, and I can guarantee that your raise next term will be delayed.
賞与も査定も見直さんといかんな。
Your bonuses and assessments will also receive a thorough review.
でそうなった時に君の奥さんがその理由を君に問いただした後
And after that, you can explain it to your wife.
果たして君を許してくれるかな。
I wonder if she'll forgive you.
Oh my god, yeah, that's true, Void Dweller. I guess he's kind of like Mr. Krabs in a way. That's dirty! How could he exploit the weak spot of a married man? And even after the case the other day, since Tomoe was involved, both their bonuses could be cut. No doubt about it. This of all times will be total hell!
それは
That's
藤田君
Fujita-kun!
それを踏まえて再度質問しよう。
with that in mind, I'll ask you again.
南井警部を説得するか奥さんにまた土下座をするか。
Will you try to persuade Chief Inspector Minai? Or do you intend to kneel down before your wife once more?
二つに一つ選ぶのは君だ。
You have to decide, one or the other.
I agree, Oe. If it wasn't for the fact that this is a comedy scene, yeah, he is kind of being a huge asshole. And where did he get that information from? The last time he kneeled to his wife was at her parents' house. Normally, Fujita would struggle and struggle to make a choice before ultimately siding with justice. However, he felt a taste of death just last night and absolutely didn't want to experience it again. And so he gave in without a fight.
Minai-san!
Minai-san,
お願いします
please,
取材出てください
please accept the interview.
藤田あんた上司を売る気か
Vegeta, are you trying to sell me out to the boss?
すみませんすみません
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
もう俺家内の実家の前で土下座するのは嫌なんです
I've already bowed down to the ground at their parents' house once, and I'd hate to do it again.
あれは心が折れるんです本気で
Seriously, it would break my heart.
自分がものすごく惨めで情けないやつに思えて人格を否定された気分になるんです
It made me feel so miserable and useless, as though my very character was being destroyed.
この恥知らず野郎が
You shameless bastard!
It wasn't clear who she was directing that insult towards.
もうまあまあ落ち着きたまえみないくん
Oh my! Calm down, Minai-kun.
君は勘違いをしているぞ
This is a misunderstanding.
何をですか
Please!
これは賄賂ではなくただのプレゼントだ
This isn't a bribe, it's just a present.
別に私が要求したわけでもこれに対して利便を図ったわけでもない
It's not like I specifically requested it. It was just a convenient development.
まあ雑誌を見ながらゴルフの話になった時にこれはいいな
Oh, come on!
とね
Seriously? Well, we were talking about golf while flipping through a magazine, and I happened to say this looks nice.
それを世間一般では恐喝というんだこの妖怪くれくれじじい
The rest of the world would call that extortion, you greedy old monster!
しかも利便思いっきり測ってるでしょうが私に無断で
Besides, even if it was just a convenient development, you planned this without my consent!
いやいやそれは個人的な見解の相違というものだ
Damn. He is ruthless. My god.
No, no. That's simply a difference in personal opinion.
とりあえず要件は伝えたぞ来週の予定ちゃんと開けておくように
I knew there was something I didn't like about you in Kagaboshi. I wonder. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of all this, he has some part to play in the greater mystery. I wouldn't be surprised if he had some part to play in the greater mystery. In what's it called? The Matsuri Bayashi equivalent, Miyotsukushi. The one for the console arcs, Miyotsukushi. I would not be surprised in the least if he's connected to Tokyo.
Anyway, the message has already been passed on. Keep your plans open for next week.
では
That is all.
ふざけんな
You're full of shit!
こら待て
Wait!
Having said that, Yamaoki walked out of his office with a calm expression as Tomoe rampaged behind him.
こら逃げるなクソ所長
Hey! Damn it, Chief! You can't run away! Ah!
未来さん落ち着いて
Minai-san, calm down!
おちょい
Ah!
未来さんたま
Minai-san, time out! Time out!
俺に関節技をやめてください
Fine, Please, let me go!
Minai-san wins. Fatality.
うわ折れます折れます今度は心じゃなくて腕が折れちまいます
It's gonna break! It's gonna break! Instead of my heart, this time my arm is gonna get broken!
もしもし刑事一課大敷さんか花田さんがいたら
Hello, First Investigation Division. If they got Tokihogushi-san or Hanada-san there.
あ、半藤さんもいますね
Oh, is Ando-san there too?
大至急全員マッチの廊下
It's urgent. All hands report the battle stations.
じゃなかった所長室に
I mean, come to the chief's office.
見ない次長がご乱心です
Assistant Director Minai is in trouble.
こんちくしょ
God damn you! Oh my god. Days later, a certain detective summarized this incident in a single sentence.
俺ミナイさんの静止役とライオンの飼育係どっちか選べって言われたら迷うことなく飼育係っす。
If I had to choose between restraining Minai-san and taming lions, I'd definitely choose the lions without a moment of hesitation.
That was a fantastic scene. Fantastic scene. Wow. Oh my god. Tokihogushi, I think I'm gonna really like this arc. Okay, let's see. Saturday, October 9th, 1982. Somewhere in Tokyo.
で
So,
どこなんですかそのお店は
where is this shop?
うんもうすぐのはずだ
It should be just up ahead.
そのもうすぐもう5回目なんですけど
Just up ahead? You've already said that 5 times. Even though he was her boss, Tomoe was approaching the limits of her patience. In fact, they had been walking to the shop for over 30 minutes now. Oh, interesting. It's already over. The interview at the TV station proceeded faster than expected. Filming wrapped up in just a little after noon. Even though she was so strongly opposed to coming here that she instigated a major brawl with Fujita and the others, the interview turned out easier than expected, and once it was over, she had no complaints. The only problem was what to do with their time afterwards.
どうしよっかな
What should we do now?
んどうしたのかね
What should we do?
あいえ
Oh, it's nothing.
思った以上に取材が早く終わったので
I was just thinking the interview went faster than expected, so... Tomoe pulled the reserved seat ticket from her wallet as she said that, then compared the printed time to the clock on the wall. She was planning to take advantage of the upcoming holiday and head to her grandmother's house in Ibaraki after the interview was over. But looking at the departure time of the first train to Ueno, she had about 3 hours to spare.
ならばせっかくだ観光でもしてきたらどうだ
That's no problem at all. Why not do some sightseeing?
東京タワーとか上野動物園とか
Tokyo Tower, Ueno Zoo.
俺でも学生時代は東京っ子だったので両方ともゲップが出るほど行きました
I was a Tokyo girl back in my school days, so I'd puke if I had to do either of those again. Both were typical destinations for couples on a date, so how much fun could a single woman have going on her own? Was he just messing with her?
では秋葉原にでも行ってくればいい
In that case, how about Akihabara? Let's get some Higurashi merchandise!
最近最新式のパソコンが発売になって話題になっていたからな。
People have been talking about some state-of-the-art PC that went on sale recently. And I also have heard good things about the Brawn Tube Shop.
ミナイ君、これからの時代やパソコンの知識も必要だぞ。
Minai-kun, don't you think that computer knowledge will be essential in the future?
行きません。
I'm not going.
ワープロならありますし、30万以上の代物を気軽に買えるほど裕福でもありませんので。
Not forward thinking enough, Tomoe. If you're referring to the word processor, I'm not nearly wealthy enough to drop over 300 thou on something like that. Jesus Christ. That's like $30,000, isn't it? Or no, $3,000. $3,000. Like, my God. And that in 1980s dollars, $3,000 would be like maybe 9,000 or something like that in current day cash. Like, that would be just holy shit. She had no plans to interact with the electronics district anytime soon. But she had a feeling that it'd be a completely different world 20 or so years from now. Yep, it would. Jeez.
ならば、ちょっと昼食にでも付き合わんかね。
In that case, would you go grab a quick lunch?
え？
Huh?
実は駅前から歩いてすぐのところにうまいおすすめのレストランがあってな。
Actually, there's a well-recommended restaurant with delicious food. Just a short walk from the station.
どうだ？
How about it?
はあ。
Sure. Normally, she would have refused. However, Tomoe did feel a sense of pride and accomplishment for finishing the day's work. And more importantly, it was just before payday. So Tomoe decided to go with Yamaoki. How stupid of me. She clicked her tongue without thinking, and quickly shut her mouth. Realizing that was a rude thing to say, she took a peek around Yamaoki's back, and was relieved to see that he hadn't heard anything. Still, she honestly never thought he'd be taking her this far away, so she struggled to suppress the feeling of regret, and of course she was hungry too. She started to think it would have been better to decline his invitation and head to a nearby hamburger joint on her own. I wonder, is he leading her somewhere on purpose?
本当にその店ってこの近くにあるんですか？
I recognize this CG from the main story arcs. Oh my god. No way. Was the interview just an excuse to get her to Tokyo? Is this shop really around here?
もちろんだ。
Of course.
私が嘘を言ったことがこれまでにあったかね。
Have I ever lied to you?
あまり記憶にはありません。
Not in recent memory.
もっとひどいことは毎日言ってるけど。
Though you do say terrible things on a daily basis.
ん？なんか言ったか？
Huh? Did you say something?
いいえ、別に。
No, it's nothing. Even while continuing their conversation, Yamaoki was walking in the lead, looking back and forth while periodically checking a handwritten map. His unreliability was slowly irritating her.
まったく、場所がわからなくて何がおすすめよ。
Honestly, how could he recommend a place he didn't even know the location of?
所長、まさかとは思いますが、ボケて場所がわからなくなったとか言いませんよね。
Chief, this is hard to say, but is it possible you've simply forgotten the location in your old age?
何を言うか。私は未だに円周率が100桁まで言えるほどの記憶力だぞ。
What are you talking about? My memory is sharp enough to recite up to 100 digits of pi, you know.
3.1415656993393842 と
3.1415926535899793233846
なあもういいですから。
Right, enough of that, enough of that! Tomoe quickly grew fed up with his recitation and cut him off, and let out a sigh.
いやしかし南井君嫌がっていた割にはなかなかの取材態度と応対だったな。
But
Minai-kun, as much as you hated the interview, you handled it with a nice attitude.
広報室長も随分喜んでいたぞ。
The public relations manager was quite pleased.
不本意でも引き受けた以上は手を抜きたくありませんから。
even if I didn't want to do it, that's no excuse to do a bad job of it.
もっともあれだけのためにわざわざ上京する意味があったのかは疑問ですが。
That's exactly what I was thinking. More importantly, I'm starting to wonder if there was some other reason for bringing me to Tokyo. The content of the interview was surprisingly vanilla, completely standard fare. Mostly regarding Tomoe's normal workload and how she spent her days off. They painted an image of her typical workday and edited it together with footage from her training at the police academy, which was provided by the Public Relations Office. On the other hand, they weren't particularly interested in professional topics like investigation methodology, so the notes she prepared were completely useless. But she wasn't very thrilled about disclosing specific details on investigation protocols anyway, so she was thankful the conversation didn't get too complex. However, after giving it a thorough consideration, she had a disappointing thought.
結局刑事であれば誰でもよかったんでしょうね。
In the end, any other detective would have been just as good.
肩肘張っていた自分が情けないです。
I was just the one stuck with the job.
これも仕事だ。
That's work for you!
それに今回のプロデューサーはよーく勉強していた方だと思うぞ。
Besides, the producer this time thought you studied well.
確かに間違った方に詳しい方でした。
Certainly, there were no mistakes. Even though she declined thinking the topic was about women's empowerment and expanded rights, they did frequently ask questions along that theme, but she stayed silent. The TV station asked if a female police officer chosen as a member of the recommended group was having difficulty with men in police society, and what she did to overcome those obstacles. They originally wanted to appeal to housewives with something along those lines, but unfortunately they had to abandon that line on propaganda. In the end, they completely ignored it and focused on something more generic. They felt no shame or guilt about twisting the content to make it more interesting. That was just as much the case now as it was in the old days for the mass media. It confirmed Tomoe's stance that she didn't like their way of thinking, and made her feel she couldn't trust them.
それに壁と言われても男女の関係なくあって当然です。
Besides, even if they talk about the obstacles, it is natural for there to be differences in the relations between men and women.
過剰に意識しすぎるのもどうかと思います。
I think there's no point being overly conscious of it. Tomoe recognized there were different physical differences between men and women, so it's foolish to think that they could produce completely equal results in the first place. Also, her male superiors in college have been doing business as usual without giving female workers extreme discrimination or cold treatment. In reality, it was probably still present. But Tomoe didn't really see it, so she was convinced it wasn't there.
まあ君の職場は恵まれていたのだろうな。
Well, you're fortunate to have a comfortable workplace.
Yeah, if just because you don't experience it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
他のところでは男女格差のひどい話も確かに耳にしている。
I hear terrible stories of gender disparity
その意
elsewhere.
味ではプロデューサーの言いたいこともわからないではない。
With that in mind, I can understand why the producer wanted to ask about it.
You got lucky, Tomoe.
確かにそうかもしれません。
Indeed, that may be so.
私の場合は逆に女であったからこそ活躍の機会をいただけたこともありました。
But in my case, it was the complete opposite. It was specifically because I was a woman that I've had these opportunities for success. especially when she was assigned to the youth division back when she first became an officer. Using her position as a woman allowed her to connect with young women who would have struggled to open up to a man. Women are a little more open-minded with other women to an extent, and willing to listen. Skipping school, delinquency, minor offenses. They weren't isolated incidents. These were girls who had problems at home. Tomoe was sometimes strict around those girls, sometimes tried to appeal to their parents, and provided guidance and encouragement, patiently keeping in touch with them and consulting with them every day. Sometimes they betrayed her along the way. Sometimes they violently retaliated, even after all she did. In the end, there were cases where she couldn't save them, more than she could even remember. She felt intense sorrow and regret every single time. On the other hand, the girls who turned things around would write her letters, and she stopped by the shops and facilities where they worked to see them smiling. It made her tremendously happy. Even though word about Tomoe's honest and sincere work ethic carried through to her evaluations, her superiors and the section chiefs would always tell her how cute she was because she was a woman. That's why when she was aiming to become a detective, she was also worried that they'd be supporting her for that same reason.
ミナイ君は相手に対する思い入れが強く出る性格のようだからな。
Minai-kun is a strong personality that embraces the person she's speaking to.
それは時として正常な判断を失ったり、自分を感情的に追い詰めたりすることにもつながる。
But sometimes you can lose your normal judgment when you get emotional.
事件捜査に当たる際は少年指導員の時よりも2歩か3歩引いて考えるくらいがちょうどいいぞ。
When investigating an incident, instead of thinking about it the way you did in your youth leadership time, it's supposed to take 2 or 3 steps back and think it over.
2歩3歩ですか？
2 or 3 steps.
ああ、それは手抜きだと君は思うかもしれないがね。
That's right, although you might think it's holding back.
あまり熱心になりすぎると後で辛いぞ。
But if you get overly eager, it'll only cause you pain later on, you know.
In fact, things ended up just like that. The first case she was involved with as a detective involved a man who was repeatedly stabbed at home. The culprit was a woman roughly the same age as Tomoe, who was having an affair with the victim. She seemed quiet and obedient during the initial round of questioning, so Tomoe was convinced there was no way it could be her. So when her boss and superiors began investigating her as a possible suspect, she fought back against them for not believing her. However, the female employee later confessed to the crime and was arrested. She said she committed the crime herself after he broke up with her. And on top of that, she was pregnant.
あんなやつ殺されて当然だ。
It's only natural to kill scum like that. Tomoe felt tremendous despair for the woman who committed the crime and seemed to rebuke her dishonesty. But on the other hand, the bereaved family had to be informed of the man's unfaithful betrayal. The loss took every toll on his father. In keeping with that, the sympathy she felt toward the bereaved family members turned to curiosity and then derision. They ended up selling their house a year later and moving far away.
結局事件が解決して誰も救われなかった。
That reminds me of something Shuichi said in Danganronpa V3. Sometimes finding the truth about a case doesn't help anybody. In the end, the case was solved, but it didn't help anyone. But if the case had remained unsolved, that pitiable female employee wouldn't have gone to prison, and the victim's family could have grieved for him without losing their love for him, then moved on with their lives. Exactly. The police shattered their peaceful illusion, leaving nothing else behind. Thinking about it made her uncomfortable. Yeah, that was a discussion that they had in Danganronpa V3. Pretty much along those exact lines. That finding the truth about the case literally made everything worse for everybody in one of Shuichi's cases. I think that's a fascinating discussion whenever it comes up in visual novels like this, and I do wish they would go further into it. Because, I don't know, it just seems like something that's usually brought up and then dropped after a little bit, but I would love to have something that is completely focused on that, like in depth as a theme. I have to go to the bathroom. I will be right back. Alright, you're back. Tomoe looked up once again and stared at the back of the man in front of her. That woman's problem was solved, but even now, walking next to Yamaoki, it was still an unbelievable story. At the time, Yamaoki was serving as the public security commissioner at the Metropolitan Police Agency. Tomoe understood that it would be difficult to consult with someone about the man's incident, but there was nobody else she could talk to. And when her worries piled up, she asked him for advice. Yamaoki made time outside of work for hours for her.
いや別にそれは刑事に限らない悩みだと思うがね。
I don't think this is a problem limited to detectives.
君が以前に勤めていた少年課でも同様の事件に関わる機会があったはずだ。
Even in the youth department where you were working before, I'm sure you had to work cases like this.
はい、確かにありました。
Yes, that's certainly true.
ただ、当時は少年たちへの心のケアが本務で、事件の捜査には関わっていませんでした。
However, the main focus of my work back then was emotional support for the kids involved, rather than directly investigating the cases in question.
ですから、犯罪者や被害者、そしてその関係者を単純に憎悪したり、同情したりするだけでよかったのです。
So rather than worrying about the criminals or the victims, I just had to sympathize with the people involved.
でも、いざ刑事として捜査に関わってみると、そういった人たちの生活をここまで変えてしまう立場にいるのかと実感して、
But
正直、愕然としてしまいました。
once I started participating in the investigations as a detective, I realized that I was in a position to completely change the lives of people involved. Honestly, it's terrifying. At the time, she thought it would be fine to investigate the crimes and arrest the culprits. She believed that by doing that properly, she could clear the consciences of the people left behind, and the criminals could receive a reward fitting for their crimes. But what would about the outcome of this particular case? The case was settled, but it didn't make anyone happy. And if that's the case, for whose sake did the police investigate the case for in the first place?
私が未熟で甘すぎるのかもしれません。
I may be too soft and immature.
数多く毎日のように起こる事件の中の一つで、いちいち気にしては身が持たないということも承知しております。
There are so many incidents like this that happen every day, and I understand that I don't need to stress over everything.
ですが、
But even so,
最初の事件にしては荷が勝ちすぎる事件に当たったものだな。
God damn, that was her first case? Oh my god, what a first case to have. I think only Mia Fey beats you for worst first case. Jesus Christ.
This is certainly a heavy load to bear on your very first case.
いや、だからこそ君にとっては幸運だったのかもしれん。
But this might actually be fortunate for you.
早い時期にその悩みを持つことができたのだから。
Yeah, kind of like Mia.
Because you were able to endure this suffering early on.
これが幸運ですか？
This is fortunate. Tomoe was taken aback by what Yamaoki said. She expected him to comfort her or say not to worry about it, but she never expected him to say something completely contrary to that.
ああ、そうだ。
Yes, that's right.
現実の事件はテレビドラマのように完全懲悪というわけにはいかないものだ。
Real cases don't have the poetic justice you see in TV dramas.
犯人を必ず逮捕できるという確証もなければ、逮捕によって全ての問題が解決するとも限らない。
There's no guarantee you can arrest a culprit, and an arrest doesn't always solve the problem.
そして君が今話してくれた事件のように、新たな問題と19が生まれ出る可能性も決して低くはないだろう。
And just like the incident you've told me about now, there is always a realistic probability that new problems and suffering will be born from the investigation.
はい。
Right.
しかしそこに私情を挟むことなく、刑事は常に中立で公平でなければいけないのだ。
But regardless of their personal feelings, detectives must always remain fair and impartial.
犯人にも被害者にもその家族にも、そして法に対してもな。
To the perpetrators, to the victims, to their families, and to the law.
だからこそ人は不幸な事件に遭遇した時には正義の規範として警察を頼り、そして犯罪に走りそうになる輩はその存在を意識して自らを律する。
That way, when a person experiences an unfortunate incident, they're able to depend on the police to carry out justice and investigate the crime according to that standard.
正義
Justice. When he said that, she didn't hear the words so much as she felt them. The words coming from his mouth had a mysterious, majestic feeling to them.
でもその結果として誰も幸せにならなかったとしてもですか？
But even if nobody will be happy with the result,
そうだ。
Indeed.
Yamaoki answered that question in a powerful tone.
法や正義は常に一定で不変であるからこそ人々はそれを遵守しようと考える。
The law and justice are constant. It is because they are immutable that people are able to comply.
そしてその枠から外れてしまうような行為を違法や犯罪として戒めることができる。
And so we can admonish any act that falls outside of those boundaries as an unlawful crime.
結果としてそれが大部分の人を救うことにつながるのだよ。
The end result is that we can help the people more often than not.
Crimes are caused by various motivations: impulse emotions, selfish calculation, misguided pleasure seeking. However, the cause and the end result can never justify a crime. Otherwise, a person with wicked intentions in similar circumstances would be able to easily justify a similar crime. The thought that it's not just me would erode their sense of guilt and self-control.
ではそのためには少数の悲劇には目をつぶるべきなんでしょうか？
So, in order to accomplish that, you're saying we should just turn a blind eye to a few tragedies.
いや、そうとは言わない。
No, that's not what I'm saying.
しかし簡単に答えを見出せるものでないことも確かだ。
There's definitely no easy answer to this.
そのためにも巴君、君はもっと悩みたまえ。
With that in mind, Tomoe-kun, you're going to experience even more suffering.
そして少数の悲劇をいかにすれば回避できるのか、自分なりの見解を出してみてはどうかね。
And I value your thoughts on what we can do to keep these tragedies to a minimum.
山沖さん
Yamaoki-san.
それに君は自分が感情的だと言ったが、優しさを失った人間に刑事の資格はない。
This guy gives me such whiplash, I swear. He's a very interesting character. He goes back, like, he's like a less extreme, like, he goes back and forth, I swear. Like, he did this in Kageboshi, too.
Besides, you said you're emotional. But any human without compassion is unfit to be a detective.
Very complex character, this guy.
その意味はきっと刑事を続けるうちに理解できるようになる。
I'm sure that if you continue to being a detective, you'll eventually understand the meaning of that.
だから君は今の考え方をこれからも忘れずに持ち続けることだ。
So never forget these feelings that you have right now. Keep holding on to them.
はい
Understood.
あの時はそれなりに感動したのにな。
I was deeply moved back then. She let out a sigh. She wanted to let it all out. She had no idea that the facetious, lazy, spontaneous Yamaoki has such a down-to-earth side to him.
ん？どうしたね、ミナイ君。
Oh, what's wrong, Minai-kun?
Huh?
ああいえ
Oh, it's nothing. She suddenly turned away, trying to chase away the memories that came to her mind a moment ago. She was embarrassed.
なに、 心配はいらんぞ。
What are you so worried about?
地図だともう付近まで来ている。
The map says we're almost there.
だからおそらくこの辺りのはずなんだが。
Where are you leading Tomoe?
So it should be right around here.
せっかくですが、
Even after all this effort,
私もう一人で。
I might just go on my own. She said that intending to part ways with him, but just that moment.
あった。
Oh, there it is!
Yup. This is so suspicious. Huh?
ここですか？
This is it. Wait! I know this place! Oh my god! Okay! Oh my god! Oh, it's this after all! Oh my god! Oh my god! Yamaoki was looking up with a sense of pride and accomplishment, and Tomoe turned to look in the same direction. Oh my god! It looked like an ordinary family-friendly restaurant, but it wasn't. It certainly seemed popular, though. A line of people extended out the entrance and down the sidewalk. However, the people there had an unusual air about them, and a stench that Tomoe had never tasted before. She couldn't help but frown.
ここが本当に東京でも指折りの店なんですか？
Is this seriously a distinguished Tokyo restaurant?
ああ、チェーン店なんだがね。味もサービスもなかなかの評判だ。
That's right, it's a chain restaurant, but the taste and service are well regarded.
君は知らなかったのか？
You haven't heard of it?
いえ、私はこういう店はあまり。
Oh my god! I know what this is! If you look right here, you know exactly what this is. No, these sort of shops aren't really my thing. Cooking for herself was more economical than going out to eat at family restaurants, and Tomoe was confident in her cooking skills. So Tomoe didn't go out to eat much after finishing school. Aside from hamburgers. I was gonna say about the hamburgers.
まあまあ、見ない君。
Oh dear, Minakun.
先入観で決めつけてはよくないぞ。
It's not right to arbitrarily condemn things based on preconceptions.
疑ってかかるのはまず入ってからにしないか。
Instead of doubting it, why not step inside first?
はあ。
Even so, that stench was extremely suspicious. And when it came to family restaurants, she had a strong impression that they were heating up frozen ready-made products, in which case it would be better just to buy a box lunch at a convenience store. You can eat a delicious lunch here at a chain restaurant? It seemed unbelievable.
からかってるのか？
Is this a prank? It seems like it might be. With that thought in mind, Tomoe turns to the store again with that dubious expression. Then she suddenly noticed a poster next to the stairs leading up to the entrance, and carefully focused her eyes to read it. Yep! Fall Dessert Festival in session, Tokyo area exclusive menu. Private event today, please present invitation upon entry.
所長、
Chief,
今日招待状がないと入れないって書いてありますけど。
it says here you can't enter today without an invitation.
招待状とはこれのことかね。
An invitation like this?
Yamaoki pulled a ticket out of his inner jacket pocket as he said that, and proudly waved it around for some reason. There was a colorful pattern printed on the ticket, and Dessert Festival invitation was written there in a lovely font.
いやいや、これを手に入れるのは大変だった。
Seriously, it was hard to get this. I had to pay a green-haired Yakuza girl quite a large amount of money.
有志一同からスタンプを集めてその上でとびきりくじ運の強いやつを送り込んで当選を買い上げて
You have to collect stamps from volunteers and send them in, then be lucky enough to be selected.
しかしまあそれだけの価値は十分にあるものだ
And despite all that, it's worth it.
君は運がいいぞミナイ君
You're quite fortunate, Minai-kun.
ああ、どうも。
Oh, well, thanks. Though she said that, Tomoe wasn't sure how valuable it actually was. She didn't know how to express her gratitude.
さあ遠慮はいらん
Well, no sense holding back.
入りたまえミナイ君
Let's go inside, Minai-kun.
Sure. Though Tomoe still felt something was out of place about the tremendously bright pink exterior wall, for the time being she decided to take the initiative and open the door. Then she followed Yamaoki inside. And the moment she stepped inside the lobby of the
おかえり
restaurant,
なさいませ
welcome home!
な
What? A young waitress who must have been ready and waiting greeted Tomoe and Yamaoki with a big smile on her face, then deeply bowed her head. That much was a completely ordinary interaction. However, the thing that took Tomoe by surprise was what she was wearing. It was a maid outfit that went far beyond the line of cuteness into erotic.
所長、
Chief,
ここは一体。
what on earth is this place?
旦那様ひょっとして初めてのお帰りですか
Master, is this perhaps your first time coming home?
いや彼女はそうだがね
Well, that's the case for her.
私はこういうものだ
As for me, I have one of these.
Then Yamaoki pulled his police notebook out of his vest pocket. And from there he pulled out a bright holographic card that sparkled in 7 different colors.
これは
This is... The waitress's eyes opened wide at the moment she saw it. But just a moment later, a huge smile returned to her face. She grabbed both ends of her skirt and deeply bowed in an even more submissive and courteous manner than before.
ああ長らくの海外へのご出張本当にお疲れ様でした
Thank you very much for your hard work overseas.
皆さんロシュホール大公爵様のお帰りです
He has a premium membership. Everyone, the Grand Duke of Roquefort has returned to us. All the maids in the store serving tables and handing orders in the kitchen area turned to face the entrance.
お帰りなさいませ大公爵様
Welcome home, Grand Duke! Just like that, they all burst out, chanting a greeting in unison. And then Yamaoki calmly remained still while answering them with a nod. However... Tomoe was feeling completely out of place. She was frozen in place where she stood.
な
Whoa.
どうしたミナイ君
What's wrong, Minai-kun?
なんですかここは
What is this place? Tomoe finally came free from the spell entrapping her and shouted loud enough to echo throughout the entire store. The guests in line all immediately turned toward the entrance in response, but Yamaoki must have anticipated this reaction because he remained completely composed.
何って
What is it?
見ての通りメイド喫茶だが
As you can see, it's a maid cafe.
さも当然のことのように言わないでくださ
Don't
い。
say that so casually!
一体メイド喫茶って何です
What
か
on earth is a maid cafe? I've been living under a rock!
私は美味しい昼食があるレストランに来たんですよ。
I came to have a delicious lunch at a restaurant, you know!
ああ言い間違えたな
Ah, there's no mistake there.
ここはメイド喫茶レストランだ
This is a maid cafe restaurant.
ちょっと言い方変えただけでしょ。
That's just a slightly different version of what you just said!
大体さっきのロシュフォール大公爵って何なんですか？
A woman is secretly about the Grand Duke of Roquefort?
聞きたいかね？
Oh, you want to hear about that?
いいえ、聞きたくありません。
No, I don't want to hear it!
ロシュフォールというのはかの有名な三重詩に出てきた赤眼の剣士にあやかっての名称だ。
Roquefort is the name of the one-eyed swordsman from the famous Three Musketeers story.
そして大公爵とは来店ポイントが10万以上貯まった常連客にのみ許される称号で、日本全国でもまだ5人もいるかどうかの。
So are they all given names from the Three Musketeers? Yeah, I knew it. He's a premium member.
And Grand Duke is a title only bestowed to regular customers who've accumulated over 100,000 visiting points. There are only 5 people all across Japan with that title.
だから聞きたくないって言ったでしょうが。
Didn't I just say I didn't want to hear it?
何をエキサイトしている？
What are you getting so excited about?
あんたがそうさせてるんだっぺ。
You're the one responsible for this! Tomoe shouted with enough force that the blood vessels on her temple were about to burst. No, wait a minute. What if this was the real purpose of the business trip to Tokyo?
ふざけんな。
What bullshit! Tomoe desperately fought the urge to punch something, but not wanting to get any more involved. She turned on her heels and put a hand on the knob of the front door.
どこに行くのかね？
Oh, where are you going?
冗談じゃありません。
You can't be serious!
私は失礼します。
Please excuse me.
一人で好きなだけお召し上がりになってください。
You can enjoy this all you want on your own!
お嬢様
Lady?
本日秋のデザートフェスタの日なんですが
Today is the day of the fall dessert festival.
デザートフェスタだかなんだか知りませんが興味ありません。
I don't know what a dessert festival is, but I'm not interested.
私はランチを食べに来たんです。
I can have lunch.
まあま
Oh dear.
あ、俺、せっかくだからメニューだけでも見ていかんか。
Here, is it too much trouble to give the menu a look?
だからケーキなんて食べる気分じゃありません。
I'm not in the mood to eat cake!
大体なんで無才おっさんと向き合ってスイーツなんて。
Besides, I'm not interested in sharing sweets with a dirty old man! Uh-oh. After vigorously spewing that and turning toward the waitress, Tomoe's anger quickly faded away, and her gaze fixated on a single point. The waitress was spreading a menu out before Tomoe's eyes. And inside were photos of vibrant, beautiful, delicious-looking multicolored sweets with colorful decorations. Tomoe was a woman after all, so there was no way she could hate sweets. In fact, she loved them. Not only that, but since she was feeling hungry at the moment, her appetite for them was 2, maybe 3 times stronger than usual. She had never seen such a beautiful flower garden of sweets in a normal restaurant. She brushed away the saliva that was about to drip down from her mouth, but her eyes didn't turn away from the menu for even a moment.
どうだね、ミナイ君。
How about it, Minai-kun?
写真ならどうとでも綺麗に見せられるものです。
Anything could be made to look nice in pictures.
所詮実物はこんなに。
But if the real thing actually looks like this...
すみません
Pardon me?
新作ケーキ入ります
Fresh cake coming through. Thanks to some impeccable timing, a fresh cake came out of the kitchen, being pushed on a handcart and passed it directly in front of Tomoe.
何よこのものすごくいい香りは。
What is this incredible aroma? Even though it only passed by her for a moment, the sweet, rich fragrance drifting toward her completely robbed her of her senses. And not only that, but the vivaciously colorful design was burned into her retinas. She had purchased cakes several times in her life as a modest luxury to celebrate a milestone, but they couldn't even compare. In fact, wouldn't it be outrageously audacious to compare them at all?
お嬢様
Milady?
別に私は
Besides,
食事がしたいだけでスイーツはその
I just want to have a meal. Those sweets like that one.
受け入れたまえみないくん。
Accept it, Minai-kun.
どんなに羽目を外しすぎても失うものはプライドだけだ。
No matter how much you fight it, the only thing you'll lose is your pride.
失ってたまるか。
You think I'm lost? Even as Tomoe screamed her lungs out, her eyes remained fixated on the cake being carried to the table. She was starting to feel bloodlust toward the ecstatic customers sitting in front of the colorful cake.
今日のメインはマンゴーのタルトとメロン尽くしの The main item for today is the mango tart with melon accents.
Is that what they call this cake? With all the fruit decorating the top, you can't even see the surface.
本日は1日限定でストロベリーのタルトもご用意できます。Oh, and for Yumi, we are also preparing strawberry tarts. いかがでしょうか What do you think?
ちなみにこの食事代は私が元。
By the way, this meal is on me.
遠慮なく好きなだけ食べたまえ。
So don't hold back, eat as much as you like.
禁煙席どこですか？
And at last, Tomoe finally abandoned her pride.
いやいや、結構食べたな、みないくん。
Wow, you ate a lot, Minai-kun.
どうだ、満足かね。
So are you satisfied?
I'll never be satisfied.
別に
Not really.
甘いものでは昼食をとった気にはなれませんので。
Even after all these sweets, it doesn't really feel like I've had lunch. Apparently I have a black hole for a stomach. After saying that, Tomoe turned to look away. However, she happily enjoyed eating sweets to her heart's content. Every time Tomoe's cheeks seemed to puff out, she poured some black coffee down her throat.
はあ、でももうケーキはしばらく食べられなくてもいいかも。
But I have been eating cake for a while now, so maybe I should stop. Of course, she already ingested a ridiculous number of calories. She considered going for a swim tomorrow at the public pool. But as she thought about that, she signaled for the waitress to pour her some more coffee.
しかしまあ、噂通りの大食いだな。
I've heard rumors of your eating habits, but wow!
ホールケーキ4つ分とは予想していなかったぞ。
I never expected you to eat 4 whole cakes!
今さら割り勘って言っても出しませんからね。
Don't you dare suggest splitting the bill.
男に二言はない。
A man doesn't go back on his word!
Although Yamogi handled it as though he expected as much. Even after watching Tomoe's gluttony with his own eyes, he showed no signs of being upset.
ちょっとは驚いてみせろっての。
He should at least act a little surprised. She wasn't particularly interested in boasting about her gluttony, but it was awkward how easily he accepted it.
それにしても、さすがはユウスケの娘か。
Anyway, I'd expect no less from Yusuke's daughter.
血は争えんな。
That blood is unmistakable.
Tomoe's expression hardened as soon as she heard that name, and she picked up her cup, but the cup was still too hot, so she sat it back down on the saucer and took a drink from the cold cup next to it. Yusuke was her father's name.
こんなところで父譲りと言われるのはなんとも複雑な気分ですな。
I have mixed feelings about you mentioning my father in a place like this.
よく覚えているぞ。
I can still remember it perfectly.
過激派の立てこもる山荘への突入作戦では危険も顧みずよく働いてくれた。
He ignored the danger and pushed himself hard during the Mountain Villa infiltration operation.
放水と夜の寒さで警視庁と地元警察の刑事全員が震える中、カップラーメンをかっくらいながらみんなをどやしつけていた姿。
On that cold, rainy night, all the detectives in the Metropolitan Police Department and the local police were trembling and he was giving them hell while downing a bowl of instant noodles.
今でも忘れてはいない。
Even now, I'll never forget it.
Police use of firearms was severely restricted by law. It's reserved exclusively for dangerous criminals. So the means of fighting the criminal group in the mountain villa was to discharge water at them and let the winter cold take care of them. However, the criminals opened fire at them, and apparently some of the officers died in the line of duty back then. Her father would always say, "I'll keep going as long as as a police officer until the very last minute, any time he drank alcohol." But it was less than a year after that when the miserable story happened.
家でも父はカップラーメンが好きでした。
Even at home, my father loved instant noodles.
私もよく勝負だとかなんとか言って早食いに付き合わされたものです。
I often ate them too. We'd compete to eat them as fast as possible.
まどかは逃げていましたけどね。
Although, Madoka was always running away. Incidentally, Tomoe never did beat her father in those competitions. He was an overwhelmingly voracious eater. However, thanks to that, he'd become exceptionally angry anytime a doctor or his wife tried to give him medical advice.
すまんな。こんな話をぶり返して。
Sorry for bringing up that story.
こうやって君と二人で話をするのも久しぶりだったものでな。
It's just been a long time since the two of us have been able to talk to one-on-one like this.
ですね。
Indeed. Yamoki and Tomoe didn't always have such a harsh relationship. In fact, she would greet him any time she got a promotion and consulted him whenever she found a cute clue related to her father's case. Ever since long ago, he was the one police officer she trusted and respected most.
警察に入る前からつてのなかった私にいろいろと情報をくださったこと感謝しています。
I'm grateful for all the information you provided me, even before I started as a police officer.
おかげで自分一人では絶対にわからなかったこともつかむことができて、今も続けることができています。
Thanks to that, I've been able to learn information I never would have been able to find on my own, and I can continue that search even now. Meeting Yamaoki was one of the reasons that Tomoe decided to pursue becoming a police officer. When her younger sister Madoka ran away, Tomoe lost her purpose for living. But then she met Oishi and learned more about her father's incident. After searching for Madoka for a while after her sudden disappearance, while thoroughly exhausted and being battered by the rain, she met Oishi for the first time. Out of concern for her, he escorted her home. And then his eyes opened wide when he learned which house she was returning to.
ここがあなたの家？
This is your house.
じゃあ、あなたがミナイさんの娘さんですか？
Then, are you Mina-san's daughter?
はい、
Yes,
長女の巴です。
I'm the older daughter, Tomoe.
そうですか。あなたが。
So that's who y'all are.
いや、すみませんね。
Oh, please forgive me.
亡くなられていた話を知ったのがつい最近だったもので。
I only recently found out that he's passed away.
お線香をあげさせてもらってもよろしいでしょうか？
Would it be alright for me to burn a stick of incense in his honor?
はい、
Oh, sure.
どうぞ。
Go ahead. Then, after explaining the situation to her grandmother, Uishi entered the house and clapped his hands together in front of the Buddhist altar in the living room. She couldn't make out his facial expression very well from behind, but she could hear a faint sigh that indicated how he was feeling.
ミナイさんとはずっと昔の事件でご一緒しましてね。
From the inside and outside, Tomoe's house looks exactly like Natsumi's house for some reason. Jeez.
Mina-san and I worked together on a case over a long time ago.
二人の娘さん、あなたたちの写真を肌身離さず持っていて、随分自慢されたものです。
He was always carrying a photo of his two daughters close to him. He was extremely proud of both of y'all.
偉くなった時にはとびっきりの酒を送るって約束していたんですが。
I promised that we'd get drunk together after we became big shot.
Tears came gushing out of Tomoe's eyes. The grief she had been feeling all this time, combined with Madoka's disappearance, took a heavy toll on her, and it wouldn't stop. Damn it. She already convinced herself she wouldn't cry in front of other people.
何があったのかは知りませんが、元気を出してください。
I don't know what happened, but please cheer up.
でないと、殺されたご両親が浮かばれませんよ。
Otherwise, your parents won't be able to rest in peace.
だったら父さんと母さんを殺した犯人捕まえてくださいよ。
Then please, catch the criminal who killed my mom and dad!
私たちの生活をめちゃめちゃにしてどこかでまだのうのうと生きているのに。
He ruined our lives, but he's still living a carefree life out there! Tomoe knew it was unreasonable, but she couldn't help but lash out at Oishi, who was standing right in front of her. However, he paid it no heed, and instead put a hand on her shoulder to comfort her.
大丈夫ですよ。
It's all right.
それは、ミナイさんの同僚の方たちが、今も必死に探してくれていますから。
Mina-san's colleagues are desperately searching even now.
きっと捕まります。絶対ね。
I'm certain they'll catch the killer.
His hand was large and very warm, and so tears came spilling from her eyes once again.
それで、巴さんとおっしゃいましたね。
Now then, Tomoe-san, I've heard what y'all have to say.
実は、私はあなたに少しお伺いしたいことがあるんです。
And actually, there's something I want to say to you.
私にですか。
Something to say to me?
ええ。ミナイさんが死ぬ間際まで追っていた、とある事件のことです。
That's right. Before Mina-san died, he was investigating a case.
私はそいつらが彼を殺害したと信じています。
Oh, this is some new information.
I believe these people were the ones who murdered him.
After hearing Oishi say that, Tomoe couldn't help but gasp. She was speechless. Mom and Dad were murdered? It wasn't just a random accident from a reckless arsonist or vagrant, but a planned conspiracy?
今日はもう遅いですから、明日改めてお伺いします。
It's getting late today, so I'll call you all again tomorrow.
その時、ミナイさんの上司だった方もここにお連れしますので。
After that, I can take y'all to see Mina-san's old boss.
話、聞かせてもらってもよろしいでしょうか。
So, would y'all be willing to tell us what you know?
And the next day, Oishi introduced her to Yamaoki, who was her father's boss. From that point on, she completely placed her trust in them. And the one who encouraged her to become a police officer was none other than Yamaoki. Instead of relying on others, she wanted to carve out her fate with her own hands. There's another typo here. That's why Tomoe was able to consult with him, almost as though he were a parent. Their relationship only went sour after last year. Only after he and Madoka.
マドカ君のことでは君にすまないと思っている。
You have reservations about the relationship between Madoka and I.
年がいもなくと責められるのももちろん承知の上だ。
I'm well aware of the age difference, of course.
だが、
However,
その件では謝ってもらいたくないです。
I'm not interested in receiving an apology.
それを聞いたらあの子きっと悲しむと思いますから。
If she heard about it, it would only make her depressed.
そうだな。
indeed.
Yamaoki said only that, and understood everything. Madoka had already decided to marry Yamaoki. If he felt any shame about it now, it could be seen as looking down on Madoka's feelings. Hello, Princess. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're almost done, but with for today. But no matter what she was thinking, she had already made up her mind.
むしろ感情的になって意固地になってあなたに失礼なことを言ってきたことは謝らせてください。
In fact, rather than becoming obstinate and emotional, please let me apologize for the unspeakable things I've said to you.
あなたはずっと私にとって父のような存在でしたから。
You've always been like a father to me.
自分でもどう対応していいかがわからなくてつい甘えてしまっていたのだと思います。
I'm still not sure how I'm going to handle it, but I think my behavior was immature.
いや、それは気にしなくてもいい。
No, don't worry about it.
むしろ私はこの年まで独り身だったからな。
In fact, I've been all alone until recently.
親子ゲームのようなやりとりもなかなかに楽しいものだ。
These parent and child games are rather fun.
Tomoe smiled awkwardly, but her attention lied elsewhere. Should she make certain of it, right here and now? This was a great opportunity to ask Yamaoki about the rumors and his feelings for Madoka. Do you truly love Madoka? Did Madoka ask you to do something for me? Yamaoki had to know about the rumors regarding him and Madoka. If she asked about it, he would probably give a straight answer. However, she understood that the question was too wretched and despicable to ask.
やっぱり聞けないや。
In the end, I can't ask. So Tomoe ended up swallowing the impulse and opted to ask him about something else.
山沖所長、
Chief Yamaoki,
あなたにお伺いしたいことがあります。
there is something I need to ask you.
うん。
前からいつか機会があれば知りたいと思っていたことです。
There is something I want to ask you whenever an opportunity came up.
正直に聞かせてください。
Please be honest with me.
何かね。
What is it?
あなたが去年警視庁の公安からこの書き打ちに来て今年になって私も呼んでくださったのは
You came to Tokihogushi from the Police Public Safety Division of the Metropolitan Police Department last year, and you invited me here this year.
父の件で何か進展があったということですか？
Is it because of some progress on my father's case?
おう。
Ever so slightly, Yamoki furrowed his eyebrows and stared straight ahead directly at Tomoe. However, she couldn't read anything from his facial expression.
どうしてそう考える？
Why do you think that?
だってそうでもなければ私が関東管区局から中部管区局に異動になった理由がわかりません。
Because otherwise, I can't think of a reason for transferring from a station in the Kanto region to the Chubu region.
事例としてはあまりないと何人かの関係者からも聞きました。
And several other related parties say it's not related to any other incident. Executive candidate police officers are often transferred to various locations to gather experience as part of their training. However, the fact that Tomoe was transferred from the Kanto region to the Chubu region was an exceptional case that could only be accomplished with a very strong request. Yamoki raised his glass of coffee to his mouth and carefully stared at Tomoe as he took a sip. Her eyes just looked like they did just back. Looked just like they did back when Uishi first introduced him to her.
巴君。
Tomoe-kun.
はい。
Yes. Tomoe felt a little surprised by that response. It had been a long time since he had referred to her by her first name.
君はまだ両親の仇を追うつもりかね？
Are you still chasing the person who killed your parents?
当然です。
Of course.
恨んでいるか犯人を？
So, you still hold a grudge against the perpetrator?
Tomoe quietly bit her lip. There was no need to answer. Her expression made it abundantly clear.
もう11年だ。
It's been 11 years.
ユウスケも十分によくやったと君のことを誇りに思うだろ
I think Yusuke would be proud of what you've accomplished.
もうそろそろ自分の人生を取り戻してもいいんじゃないのかね。
But isn't it about time to move on with your life?
これが私の今の全てなんです。
Right now, this is everything to me.
両親が殺された事件を解決しない限り前には進めないんです。
I can't move forward until we solve my parents' murder.
君はそう思い込もうとしていないか。
Have you convinced yourself of that?
Huh? Convinced. She had never thought about it in those words. And honestly, deep down, she felt insulted. She was following the case of her parents' murder, trying to find the person responsible. That was the goal she set for herself, even before deciding to become a police officer. It was Tomoe's greatest dream and aspiration, not some weak sentiment she had to convince herself of. Yet why did he say it like that?
いや、すまんな。
No, sorry.
変な意味ではなかったのだが、そんな顔をしないでくれ。
I didn't mean anything weird by that, so please don't make that face.
Tomoe quickly turned away as Yamaoki said that with a bitter smile on his face. What kind of face was she making?
残念だが、進展は何もない。
Unfortunately, there hasn't been any progress.
とりあえず君が捜査するにあたって、ここにいた方がいいと思っただけだ。
I just thought it'd be better for you to carry out your investigation here.
そうですか。
I see. Even though she nodded to him, she still wasn't convinced. First off, the intent was to make investigating her father's case easier. If the intent was, Tomoe could have simply been transferred to Prefectural Police HQ in Aichi, rather than Kakuichi Station. Not to mention, Yamaoki had no reason to abandon his normal job and take a post in this town. Nevertheless, this man had been hiding something this whole time. Tomoe still couldn't understand his intentions, and neither can I. He is such an enigmatic character. I have no idea what to think of him.
話はそれだけかね。
Is that all you have to say?
すみませんでした。変なことをお伺いして。
I'm sorry for asking something so weird.
特急の時間も近いので失礼してもよろしいでしょうか。
It's almost time for my train, so would you please excuse me? With Yamaoki's consent, Tomoe rose to her feet, and then she walked out of the store without looking back.
なあ、ユウスケ。
Hey, Yusuke.
お前の娘は悪いところまでお前にそっくりだな。
Your daughter is in a tough spot, just like you.
Just let me check. This may or may not be a good place to stop it for today. I'm feeling good. I just want to check how Tokihogushi is, where exactly we are in this chapter. It is part 3. Yeah, there's still 15 minutes left this time in it. I'll just go ahead and finish part 3 then, because we have, it's still, we've only been on for an hour and 50 minutes, and I'm not feeling tired at all, so may as well just try to make an even, let's try to finish part 3 of, yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's a good idea. So we'll try to finish the chapter. It might run a little longer than usual, but that's okay. As she left the store, the sun was beginning to set.
あっちが日比谷公園だから近くの駅まで歩くか。
And that's Hibiya Park right there. So I should be able to walk to the next station. This was her first time in Tokyo in a long time, so the buildings looked a little different. But the Gaseki district was lined with government office buildings, so she had no doubt about where she was. Although she was feeling a little lost, turning to a police box to ask for directions would reflect poorly on her as a detective, so she resolved to reach her destination all on her own. The console arcs weren't written by Ryukishi, Princess of Valens. But yeah, there's a new anime and a new mobile game for Higurashi coming out quite soon. It was delayed because of, coronavirus, but it's incredible how Higurashi is still going. Her head cooled off as she walked, and she started to feel enough regret to make her body feel heavy.
やっぱりまどかとのことを聞いておくべきだったんだろうか。
I should have asked about Madoka. Even though it was a golden opportunity, she didn't have the courage to step up.
結局信じていないのかな。
In the end, maybe I just don't believe in them.
所長のこともまどかのことも。
The chief and Madoka. The thought started to make her feel depressed. In that case, it would have been better to make a big scene opposing their marriage. Huh? Ouch. Just outside the station, the hustle and bustle of cars coming and going was quieter than expected. And instead, she could hear the loud sound of a microphone. And the large number of people walking on the sidewalk stopped to turn their attention at something.
ご通行中の有権者の皆さん、お騒がせして申し訳ありません。
All eligible voters in transit, please excuse the disturbance. She finally reached the front of the crowd and had a good view. The loud noise was coming from an election campaign car.
ああ、そういえば総選挙が年末だったっけ。
Ah, come to think of it, elections are coming up at the end of the year.
お忙しい中、誠に恐れ入ります。この場をお借りして、今少し皆様の貴重なお時間をいただきたく存じます。
Pardon me, I know you're all busy, but I would like to borrow just a moment of everyone's precious time. Naturally, people stopped walking to turn towards the source of this loud voice. And then, after looking at the party and candidate names written on the banner on the side of the car, some resumed walking. But those who were at least a little interested continued listening attentively.
ご傾聴のお時間をいただきまして、誠にありがとうございます。
Thank you very much for listening.
さて皆さんにお伺いします。我が国の医療制度、そして医薬事業は果たして十分と言えますでしょうか。
Interesting topic. When, especially when Higurashi is involved. Now, everyone, let me ask you this. Can you truly say you're satisfied with the healthcare and pharmaceutical business in our country?
現在さまざまな医薬品が一般のご家庭向けに販売されておりますが、その価格は高く、また効能も不確定のまま、余つさえ副作用の危険もはらんでおります。
Right now, various medications are currently being sold to ordinary households, but the prices are high and their efficacy is uncertain. Plus, there are risks of side effects.
それらの問題点を解決するため、製薬会社や医学学会、そして研究所の方々が日夜血の滲むような臨床試験を重ねておりますが、
In order to solve those problems, pharmaceutical companies, medical experts, and laboratory staff have been working themselves to the bone, carrying out clinical trials day and night.
残念ながら最先端の知識と技術を誇る欧米諸国にはまだまだ及ぶべくもないというのが現状です。
Unfortunately, the way things are now, we'll never reach the level in knowledge and state-of-the-art technology present in Western countries.
そのため、これまで我が国の多くの医療機関では輸入製剤に頼るところが大きかったのですが、それは医薬品に含まれる副作用を正確に把握できないデメリットを生じさせます。
For that reason, many Japanese medical institutions have been relying on imported pharmaceuticals, but that approach has the disadvantage that we can't accurately grasp the potential side effects of the medicine.
大変悲しいこ 皆様の記憶にも新しいローウェル社の薬害問題がございました。
Damn, what happened to Lowell? Was it the zombie outbreak? It's a very sad thing, but I'm sure everyone still remembers the disastrous side effects caused by Lowell Incorporated last year. The Lowell incident. Lowell Inc. is one of the largest businesses in the country and regarded as one of the top 3 in the world among part of the pharmaceutical industry. Patients who took drugs manufactured by Lowell started suffering intense fevers one after another, sometimes with fatal results. The medicine was manufactured and sold for the purpose of treating mental disorders. Huh. I wonder. But even from the start, there were questions about the source and ingredients, and experts were speaking out in the name of public safety. I wonder if that has to do with that boy that committed suicide. Nevertheless, it passed through preliminary test results easily and began circulation as medical product, in part due to the credibility of Lowell's corporate brand. But more than that, key personnel in the Pharmaceutical Safety Bureau and executive management received kickbacks as a show of gratitude. The bribery came to light after a whistleblower made public accusations. Ouch, man. That is a huge scandal. Holy shit. And at the same time, they tried to cover it up. But once the series of patients' deaths came to light, it became a massive scandal that destroyed the credibility of the medical world at the time. An unfortunate accident. The lives lost couldn't be so easily cleaned up, but the wrongdoers still lined their pockets. Ain't that the way of the world? Yeah, absolutely, it's hitting close to home. Jeez, things have stabilized by now, but the cabinet at the time completely collapsed. The situation developed in a way that the majority of seats abandoned the major ruling party. After that, the review board researchers, public welfare officials, and pharmaceutical companies executives involved in the incident were arrested and prosecuted, and civil lawsuits were conducted by the victims and bereaved families. What do I think about memes? That's an incredibly broad subject. That's like, what do I think about food? I mean, you know, it all depends on what kind of memes you're thinking of. The concept of memes in general, I don't know, they can be funny. I enjoy them occasionally. And civil lawsuits were conducted by the victims and bereaved families. In addition to that, a former member of the Public Welfare Office in Parliament was arrested for their involvement behind the scenes, and the trial is scheduled for next year. However, for most people, it's a thing of the past, and the ruling party eliminated key personnel and revealed itself in order to portray themselves as an unrelated third party. The campaign official standing atop the election car continued fervently discussing her opinions with the audience. No, it wasn't a discussion, it was a one-sided rant, because her eyes weren't facing the audience, but toward the red carpet beyond them.
そしてこの度参議院選挙の冬の陣に参ります安川稔の応援演説で現内閣で厚生大臣を務める千葉明彦議員にお越しいただきました。
And at this time, please welcome the current Minister of Health and Welfare, Akihiko Chiba, who is supporting Minoru Yasukawa in the upcoming Winter House of Councilors election.
皆様しばらくのご清聴をよろしくお願いします。
Everyone, thank you very much for listening so patiently. After thunderous applause rang out, Tomoe slowly gazed at the white-haired man standing atop the election car, holding microphones in both hands. She had seen him on TV several times. He was the head of the major ruling party, and was originally from the Ministry of Health and Welfare. He often appeared holding a large pipe and had a burning passion for medical reform. And if the House of Councilors elections proceeded the way they're leaning, The House of Representative elections next year would be completely settled. That's why a big shot like him was supporting this, to give himself more name recognition for his own campaign.
こちらにおります安川が先ほど申し上げました通り、我が国の医療制度には未だ課題が山積しております。
As Yosukawa has already stated, there are so many problems with our medical system.
そもそも病気というものは目に見えるものだけではない、心にも影響を与える。
First and foremost, illness isn't a merely physical ailment. It can also affect the mind.
故にそれらを物理的に軽減し、あるいは解消するものが存在すれば、それを求めたいと思う気持ちは当然のものと考えます。
Therefore, I believe it's only natural for us to seek the means to alleviate or completely solve these problems.
しかし今、日本にはそれらを研究するための設備、そしてノウハウが少なすぎる。
However, Japan currently lacks the necessary research facilities and know-how.
これらを解決してこそ、欧米諸国にも被験する近代国家としての存在意義があり、国民の皆さんの悲願でもあります。
Only after solving these problems can our nation reach a modern level comparable to Western countries. That is my dearest wish for our citizens.
そして、
Also,
相変わらず意味わかんないな。
Incomprehensible as usual. As she grimaced from the throbbing of her eardrums, Tomoe made her way through the intensely listening crowd. First off, it was hard to trust the word of someone talking about our nation and citizens. After all, they do whatever they want and just make it sound good to plausibly justify their actions. Arguing it for the sake of the others is one thing, but actually doing it in practice is a big deal. But when it doesn't go well for these people, they won't admit their mistakes. They don't have the courage to go back and start over. It's completely selfish to run away, but isn't it odd how the people don't hold them accountable?
あれ見ない
I don't know who's saying this. Huh? Minai? Huh? Just then, a man wearing a suit and passing out flyers looked up at Tomoe with a surprised expression. And after carefully examining her face, he suddenly began to smile.
ああ、やっぱり見ないだ。
He looks a lot like Fujita. Uh,
懐かしいな。元気か
what force should I give this guy? Damn.
ah, it's really you, Minai. It's been so long. Are you doing well?
あ、はい。
Oh, George, yeah. Good. Yeah. She ambiguously nodded and embarrassingly scratched her neck while thinking, who is this? Oh my god! That used to happen to me all the time when I was still living in America. Like, someone would walk up to me and say, oh, hello, welcome. It's like, oh god. And I'm like, oh god, I have no idea who this is. Oh god, what is their name? Oh god. Oh my god. Tomoe caught her breath as soon as she remembered.
先輩
Senpai?
塚田先輩ですか
Sukata senpai.
おいおい、俺のこともう忘れたのか
Hold on. Have you forgotten about me?
ちょっと悲しいな。
Now that's a little depressing.
そりゃわかんないですよ。
That's not it.
なんか見違えちゃったし。
I could hardly recognize you. While saying that, Tomoe took another look at the young man, Satoru Sukata.
本当に見違えちゃったな。
Seriously, I couldn't recognize him. He was her senior on the high school track and field team, an ace at short distance running. He regularly competed in national competitions, and he was popular around school. Tomoe had vague memories of him of the time. Even when she decided to quit the track team, he persuaded her to reconsider until the end, and after she officially withdrew, he still consulted with her about her parents. Nonetheless, they became separated after Tomoe entered Ibaraki University, and they lost contact.
それにしても塚田先輩、今は何をやっておられるんですか？
Anyway, what are you doing now, Sukata-senpai?
俺か？
Me?
聞いて驚け。
I'm surprised you asked.
実は今、とある大吉先生の秘書を務めているのさ。
Actually, I'm working as a secretary for a certain congressman.
とあるって。
A certain... what? Then Tomoe looked at the flyers in his hand, and there she saw the face of the Minister of Health and Welfare, Chiba, who was giving that speech on the election card just a moment ago.
ひょっとしてこの千葉厚生大臣の？
Is it perhaps Minister Chiba?
なその通り。
Exactly.
この千葉先生の第二秘書ってわけだ。
I'm Chiba Sensei's second secretary.
と言っても、こうやってビラ配りに精を出しているあたり、様にはなっていないけどな。
Although handing out flyers like this isn't what I signed up for.
そんなことないですよ。
Don't say that.
かっこいいです。
That's really cool. Tomoe responded from the bottom of her heart. Come to think of it, Sukata did once say he was pursuing the Department of Political Science and Economics because he wanted to become a politician. And the college he ended up attending was a high-ranking private university that's produced a lot of Congress members in the past. But the enrollment fee was far higher than Tomoe could manage.
夢に向かって頑張ってるんですね。すごいです。
You're doing your best to pursue your dreams. That's amazing.
この調子だと議員先生になる日も近そうですね。
And at the rate you're going, you'll be a legislator yourself before long.
それはまだまだ。
Oh, that's still a long ways out, I'm sure.
今はひたすら先生のカバン持ちとビラ配りで勉強中さ。
For now, I'm just carrying the boss's bags, passing out flyers and studying.
ところでミナイは今何やってるんだ？
By the way, Minai, what are you up to nowadays?
私は。
Huh? Me? She hesitated for a moment. After listening to that whole campaign speech, somehow she couldn't bring herself to say I'm a detective.
ちょっと今日は出張で東京に出てきまして。
I'm in Tokyo today for a brief business trip.
今は愛知の柿内ってところで働いています。
Right now I'm working in Kokurichi, Aichi Prefecture.
柿内？
Kokurichi?
へえ、そうなんだ。
Wow, I see.
千葉先生の地元からも近いんだな。
That's close to Chiba Sensei's hometown.
そうなんですか？
Huh? Really? Come to think of it, she did seem to recall seeing him on a poster somewhere in town. However, she didn't realize it was a congressman as important as the Minister of Health and Welfare.
俺も来年からは選挙活動でお国入りする予定だから、ひょっとしたらどこかで会えるかもな。なんて。
I'm scheduled to head to that area for next year's campaign, so maybe we can meet up somewhere. What do you say?
もし会えたら、今度は飯でも食おうぜ。
If we meet up, let's have a meal next time.
相変わらずですね、先輩は。
You're the same as ever, senpai.
相変わらずなのはお前の方だよ。
If anyone is the same as ever, it's you.
スーツ姿で遠くから見てもすぐに分かったしさ。
Even from a distance, I recognized that suit immediately. Huh? Then a voice came from a short distance away, shouting, Sukata-san! Sukata quickly responded to that call, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card holder.
悪いな。俺この後用事があるから。
Sorry, I have business to attend to after this.
これ、俺の名刺。
Oh, here's my business card.
もしよかったら、暇な時にでも連絡してくれよ。
If you'd like, feel free to contact me in your spare time.
あ、
Huh? Really? Come to think of it, she did seem to recall seeing him on a poster somewhere in town. However, she didn't realize it was a congressman as important as the Minister of Health and Welfare.
あ
Sukata placed a business card into Tomoe's hand as he said that, then quickly walked off. Then his back was swallowed by the crowd in the blink of an eye.
変わらないか
Haven't changed at all. Huh. That was probably just social etiquette, without any special meaning. However. But at this particular moment, Tomoe felt like it was admonishing her for her inability to move on from the past, and her chest began to ache.
おばあちゃん
Grandma?
だよ今上野駅出たとこ
Yeah, that's right. I'm leaving Ueno Station now.
仕事終わったからこれからそっちさ向かうところだっぺ
My work is complete, so I'll be heading over shortly. Yep, this section's almost done. Yep, okay. Just checking a bit.
だね
Huh? Yeah, right.
特急乗っかりついでいくから着くのは10時くらいだっぺか
I'm taking the express train, so I'll arrive at around 10 o'clock.
大丈夫だね
I'll be fine.
もう子供じゃねえんだから
I'm not a child anymore.
鍵持ってるから先に寝ててよそんじゃ
I have a key, so you can head to bed early. Anyway, later. After hanging up the receiver on the public phone, Tomoe grabbed the remaining 10 yen coin from the coin return and put it in her pocket. Interesting thing to make note of. And just as she turned around, an announcement came out that the train was arriving at the station. There weren't a lot of people in the car, perhaps because of the holiday and the late hour. She sat down in her designated seat by the window and set her bag down on the seat next to her. Then she leaned back against the backrest to get comfortable and spread open the tabloid she bought at the station stop. The page she opened to had a picture of Minister Chiba, who was giving that speech earlier. A massive headline was written next to the picture, saying, "Promoting medical reform, proposing measures to reduce the burden on the elderly."
こんなに有名な先生なら先輩が先生様になる日も近いかもね
If he's really such a famous legislator, then maybe it won't be long at all before Senpai becomes a legislator himself. I think she might have a crush on this guy. But beyond that... Oh, okay. Ooh, shot down right away. Okay, so she did at one point. At one point she did. At one point she did. But beyond that, she no longer had any feelings for Sukata. Seeing him for the first time in a while, and seeing he was just the same as always, reminded her of the day they broke up. Oh, thank you guys. I'm okay though, I'm actually not feeling tired at all today. Thank you. Thank you for your concern though. And this chapter is almost over.
もう G1 レースの時期か
Oh, it's already time for the G1 race, huh? Intending to change the mood, Tomoe looked down on the page in front of her and saw a column about horse racing. She wasn't very fond of gambling, but she did follow horse racing since she was young, both as a way to kill time and to have a topic to discuss with elderly people. In fact, making carefree predictions about the outcome can kill an hour just as well as a crossword puzzle, without any boredom. So is the last bit of fun you can get out of the evening paper.
ま、しばらくは京都開催だから中山は空いてるだろうし。
Well, they've been holding it in Kyoto for a while now, so Nakayama shouldn't be very crowded.
明日馬券買いに行ってもいいかな。
I wonder if I could buy some tickets tomorrow. Huh? Uh-oh, what happened? Just then, the moment Tomoe turned the page and casually noticed the local news article, all thoughts completely vanished from Tomoe's mind. It can't be! What was written there? With the story of a patient who fell from a local hospital. Okay, so now the stories are connected. Oh, wow! However, the name of the patient who died in the accident was one she would never forget. It was a boy she'd interviewed before, a victim of the schoolgirl campus assault incident. So that was part of her whole youth outreach thing. See, look, told you. I told you this chapter was almost over. Now, I know this tip is super, 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 super ultra short. So I'm just going to read it now before we go. Lecture materials. Special lecture regarding the solution to psychopathy and psychopathology in modern times. On Wednesday, December 22nd at 4:40 p.m., the special lecture regarding the solution to psychopathology in modern times will be held in the Saiki General Hospital Building A, in the Grand Hall on the 5th floor. The conflicts in human relationships arising from lack of communication and in response to sudden changes in environment will continue to be explored. Alleviating the stress accumulated under those circumstances is a complex problem that can't be resolved with mere rest and relaxation. Mr. Chiba, who had been contributing to the advancement of psychopathology, both domestically and abroad for many years, as part of the Ministry of Health and Welfare's Health Policy Bureau, will introduce the latest innovations in medication to address these problems. Furthermore, he is the author of The Value of Medication in Psychopathology via Okonomiya Publishing, which was released last April. Okay, so he's from Okonomiya. Interesting. Date and time, Wednesday, December 22nd, 4:40 to 5:40 p.m. Location, Saiki General Hospital, Building A, 5th floor, Grand Hall. Topic, regarding the solution to psychopathology in modern times. Presenter, Akihiko Chiba, Minister of Health and Welfare. Capacity 300 seats, entry fee 3,000 yen. Sponsor, Chubu Pharmaceutical Manufacturing and Sales Association. Co-sponsor, Aichi Prefecture Pharmaceutical Society. Participation requirements. Please come directly on the specified day. No advance application required. Please leave a business card at the reception table. For more information, contact the Secretary of the Chubu Pharmaceutical Manufacturing and Sales Association. Since the lecture is intended for university patrons and staff, media coverage is prohibited. That is all. Okay, and that was a pretty big chapter, I would say. Damn, we got quite a lot done today, didn't we? Let me save. So yeah, next time we continue on with Tomoe's research into this incident. I bet she's gonna immediately try to investigate what happened. Alright, so tomorrow we have some more Seabed, and in 2 days we have some more Higurashi. And thank you guys for sticking with me through this stream. It was a bit longer than usual, but judging from the timing of how long these chapters were, I kind of expected that to happen. So until next time, I will say so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night, You're all the sweetest of hearts. See ya.